This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. I'm Sal Berry, and with me is Tim Parrish and Clemente Lisi. And today we're going to talk about the 2023-24 Skybox Metal Universe Hockey card set. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Chicago Sports Spectacular, which just took place. We'll talk about the Canadian Postal strike and how that might impact buying and selling hockey cards. We'll talk about Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby hitting some personal milestones and maybe a couple of other odds and ends. So should be a great show after a long 2 or 3 week break. I know we just had a lot going on with the Chicago Sports Spectacular and then Thanksgiving, et cetera, et cetera. So, guys, how you doing? Who wants to start? Oh, you're pointing at each other. It's funny. You're pointing at each other, but because your screens are flipped, it looks like you're both pointing off screen, even though I know you're pointing at each other. So it's just funny. It was like you were both pointing off the screen.
I'm going to say Tim should go first because I've been too busy deleting, Black Friday and Cyber Monday emails that I've been getting for the past week.
Well, in that case, I'm about halfway between blah and eh. So whatever that is. But
are those like Greek alphabet letters?
Like I'm trending upward though, I think.
Omega and alpha and beta and meh.
Yeah, meh is definitely one.
Meh, okay.
That's probably the fraternity I should be in. MEH. The meh. But I'm sure that comes as no surprise to any of our listeners. No, I'm fine. I'm all right. I've had a busy last few weeks, so it's been interesting. So
eventful.
Let's leave it at that.
Lots
of events I didn't want to have to deal with. But that's okay. Life comes at you hard.
Well, hope it's back on the up and up.
Me too.
Clemente, how about you, man?
Oh, sorry. I'm still deleting emails. No. Things are good. I mean, Thanksgiving was great to relax a little bit, but now I'm starting to feel the stress of Christmas, even though it's not here, but it's sort of here. Thanksgiving was late this year, so I feel it's like pressure to buy presents and gifts for everybody, and it gets solved every year. It's not a problem, but it's just this idea that this is like, why can't I just enjoy the holidays? It becomes more like work. So that's on my mind. That's all.
Hey, this year you don't have to get me anything, buddy. I'll help lessen your load. Okay.
So so you guys, I can take you off the list then. Yeah, that's good.
Just your presence is present enough.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I had. I know all I've been talking about is how busy I am. I mean, I get it. We're all busy. But I had like a crazy teaching load at my job, and I had like a class that was given to me like last minute, and I had like less than 2 weeks to prepare for it, and it was material I had never covered before, and it was like stuff that I had never taught before. So I was like literally like learning on the fly. I was spending all my free time. Like I was still trying to do the podcast and the newsletter and my writing for the hockey news, but I didn't really write anything for Puck Junk over the past 3 months, just because I've been spending all my time like just learning new material. And then I had Clemente, you could relate to this. I had 4 classes and I had like 125 students total between all 4 classes. I had a lot of final projects to grade. So had the expo, came back, started grading, started prepping for the Sports Spectacular, did the Sports Spectacular. Then like that Monday, I had to get back to doing final grades. And then we had Thanksgiving on Thursday. And of course, I didn't get my grading done until Friday. And my goal was like, just get it done Friday before the Blackhawks play at 1, right? That was like my goal, right? And then after that, I was like, so now I'm kind of like, until like January 6th or whenever I start teaching again. So yeah, now I can start writing some more. I could start, we got the podcast going up. Of course, things get busy with Christmas, but we'll see how many we can squeeze out in December. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling the lack of stress and lots of free time. Should we talk about the Chicago Sports Spectacular?
Yeah, that's a good segue since you mentioned it.
I set up to sell at that. Saw some people who, stopped by, said they enjoy the podcast. That's great. I like selling at the shows. They're a lot of work. I think I'm getting old. I think I'm going to officially admit that I'm getting old because I woke up on the Sunday and the first thing that jumped into my mind was, I have another day of this. Like, that wasn't like, oh, cool, I got one more day of the card show. I'm excited. I was just like, I got one more day of this. Like, I was just beat from everything. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was work, but it was fun. They had a couple of hockey players signing at the show. They had Chris Chelios, Ed Belford, Grant Fuhrer, Yari Curry, Daryl Sittler, Billy Smith, a couple of the guys from the movie Miracle, Patrick O'Brien Dempsey, who played Mike Ruzioni, and Bill Snyder, who played Buzz Snyder. And then Buzz Snyder, his father, who was on the Miracle on Ice team, was also there signing autographs. So there was quite a few different hockey people, a couple of Hall of Famers. Actually, I think pretty much every autograph guest who wasn't a Miracle on Ice person was a Hall of Famer, and then a couple of actors. And then, like tons of athletes from all the other sports as well. And, I look and I go, oh, okay, this hockey player is like $40 or $50 an autograph. And then I look at like some baseball player that I know nothing about, and he's like $180 for an autograph. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, hockey's a bargain. Hockey's a bargain. Like, I don't know enough about baseball, but you take somebody like Yari Curry, right? And if you found like his equivalent in baseball, whoever that would be, like if we'd say Gretzky is Jordan or Gretzky and Jordan are on that same level. I know I'm switching sports now, right? But like, who would the equivalent of Yari Curry be in basketball or baseball? And what would they be charging for an autograph? It'd be more than $50, which is what Yari Curry was charging for an autograph, or what the show was charging for a Yari Curry autograph. So just interesting little thought there.
I agree that the hockey signers are cheaper, but also that's a pretty healthy list of signers, which is nice to see. Hopefully the people who run the national are watching or paying attention, because if you can have like Yari Curry and Grant Fuhrer and like guys who are from a totally different market be in Chicago, and hopefully they got long lines and lots of people, then clearly the national can also bring these kind of people in. We saw Grant Fuhrer at the expo, but yeah, it's good to know that it wasn't just Midwestern players or just Chicago Blackhawk players, but it was a large variety of different signers, and that's good to see.
Yeah, for sure. When you sent that picture of Grant Fuhrer, I was like, oh, I forgot he was supposed to be there.
Oh yeah. So I got a photo signed for my aunt because she mentioned that she wanted his autograph. So I got a photo signed for her, and I got a rookie card signed for myself because I wanted to get a rookie card of his signed. And I was kind of back and forth on that because there are signed reprint versions of his rookie card in the 2001-2002 Topps OPG archive set. The difference is it has a gold foil stamped archives logo on the front. But I look at it and I go, it's cheaper to buy that card that's already autographed. But then I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to get the photo signed anyways, and it's only a little bit more. And, I did pick up a Grant Fuhrer rookie card at the expo with the intentions of getting it signed. But then I looked in my own collection and I had an extra one anyway. It's funny when you have so many things in your collection, you forget what you have. I mean, of course, having like a random extra of a card, okay, that's even easy to overlook, but like a random extra of like a Hall of Fame rookie card, like, oh, shoot, I have another Grant Fuhrer rookie card. I totally forgot about that. Okay, great. You know what I mean? Like, going off topic here, but Clemente, I remember when we were at the National, I was looking, or not the National, at the Expo, and I was looking, there was some guy who had these books under his table. They were like Tim Hortons binders or albums, and at the end, he had a McDonald's set that had like Wayne Gretzky on the cover. And you said to me, I think you bought that last year. And I said, no, I don't think I have that. But I ended up not
Right.
buying it. Well, lo and behold,
Yeah.
I did buy it last year. I found it. It was
Oh, wow. Okay, so I was right.
so you
So I know more. I know what you have that you don't know what you
right.
have.
You know more about my collection than I do. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the book that I was going to buy. Good thing I didn't buy it because I have it. It's right here, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's good. I think I have a good feeling about this national, which we'll talk about in just a second. But like, I thought the sports spectacular was pretty busy. I would have liked it to have been a little busier. I felt like Sunday was a typical Sunday where it was just kind of dead.
Bears were on.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I feel that like people who buy sports cards are going to buy sports cards no matter what. But yeah, you're right. There is a bit of a drain when the Bears come on. So, the show ended at 4, but I think people were starting to pack up at around 3:30 or so, but it was kind of like a quiet packing. But by like 4 o'clock, people were already in the process of packing. So it was, but it wasn't like some shows I've been at where like people start packing at like 1:30 and it's supposed to go until 4. And that's just depressing. Like, do you stay or do you go? Right. But yeah, like Friday was busy, Saturday was busy. It was a good show overall. I'll definitely be setting up for that in March. And I'll also be setting up at the National, which is taking place in July. And the National tickets went on sale on Cyber Monday. So I'll just read off these prices really quick. $25 a day, $150 for all 5 days, $200 for a basic VIP package, which includes autographs, a guest reception, a goodie bag with some things thrown in it, or $330 for the all access VIP package, which includes more autographs and more stuff. Of course, if you buy at the show, the prices are more expensive than these. If you're thinking about going, I don't think they really sell out of the 1-day passes. So if you're like, oh, I'm local, I'm gonna just dip in for a day or two, you're probably not. I mean, you could probably still buy it online, but closer to the day of the show. But if you think you're gonna go all 5 days and you're like, oh, I want to get the extra autographs or the autographs or whatever, then you might want to look into the VIP or all access VIP packages. I used to do those when I was there to buy, and I'm glad I did. I liked getting in a little bit earlier. I liked the reception that they had on Wednesday. They'd have like food and drink. They'd have a raffle. And then, they'd give us the sheets of autograph tickets for the low cost autograph signers, we'll just call them. The guys that charge like $20, $30 an autograph. We would trade tickets with each other. And that's how I'd end up with like 17 tickets to get Marcel Dion's autograph. Because I would trade the tickets that I wouldn't want for the ones that I did want. So it was good. But now I'm on the other side of the table, so to speak. So other than maybe ducking out to get a Grant Fuhr autograph every now and then, I just don't have time for that. So you guys are gonna go one way or another. You're gonna go.
Yeah, I think we're both going to be there, right, Tim?
Yeah, I booked my hotel yesterday.
Is it in Indiana?
No, I made my mortgage payment. That's what I meant by that. So
Yeah.
I can at least stay here a little longer.
And we don't know if it's going to be. I think the footprint's the same as the one from 2 years ago. So Tim might have to come back for a second day.
Well, and there's
But
there's room, so you'll need 3 days
oh, right, and there's an extra room, right? So that's true.
up the
So,
escalators.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So Tim will probably be there for 2 days, and I booked my hotel. I'll be flying in on the Wednesday, and my hope is to be there the whole time. And hotel rooms are going fast, so I'm about 10 minutes out on foot. But the hotels that are connected to the convention center, those are all sold out. So if people are thinking of going and they have to fly in or drive in and stay in the hotel, they have to start looking, I think. Start booking now. Latest I ever booked, I think, was January, but that was late. Tickets are on sale now, so people have to just jump in and try to get a hotel room if they can.
I feel like the hotels that are attached sell out probably the second they announce it. Like people book those that far
Yeah.
out.
And then Sal's right. A lot of the dealers stay there. And so that gets booked up by a lot of the people that are doing the show that are not local. And then if you're lucky enough to get a a room, then you're lucky. I mean, I know some people who do Airbnb, or they don't want to stay nearby. I like Chicago, the National there, because of everything is right there. All the restaurants are there, all the hotels are there. You can socialize there, and it's not like Cleveland where after the show it was like, how will I get back to the hotel? Is it going to be an odyssey? And this won't be an odyssey. I think it's probably going to be very well attended. I'm sure those VIP passes will sell out within a month or two, and it's going to be extremely busy, I'm guessing. And so that's just the way the National is. It's become this ginormous destination. People go now. And every year I hear about people who say to me, I've never been to the National before. This is my first one. So it looks like the pool is getting larger and larger of people who collect, but also people who collect who say, I want to go to a National. I've never been to that before.
Which I feel is interesting.
Right.
Because I thought by now things would have started to peter off.
Yeah.
I mean, we even talked about it before. It's like, are there too many shows? Are there too many bigger shows? Are we just like watering everything down to this point? And then Fanatics jumps in and they start doing stuff, but then that doesn't, I mean, it does, but it doesn't go as we thought it would. And, so I don't know. I mean, it's good to see. I like to see the hobby healthy and all that. I don't like the high prices. I don't like the fact that most regular collectors are priced out of wax. But, at the same time, I'd much rather see more people in it and more foot traffic for the sake of the hobby in general, rather than just crickets and a general ghost town 3 days out of a weekend. So, it's good and bad.
I have a theory about, you hear all these, you see these YouTube videos like hobby is dying or cards are going down. Like those are just to get you to click. There's no real data around. There's no real data around any of this, and everything we say is anecdotal. But I do think that the people that came in during the pandemic and right after the pandemic, the flippers, they may be gone or they may be leaving. But the pool of people who are collectors is stayed the same. And I think people who are coming in who collected as a child or a teenager and are nostalgic about their youth and have kids now and are trying to reconnect with the hobby, that's growing, I feel. Because for someone to say I collected for 30 years, they'll all tell you the same story. I started when I was 7. I then stopped in college. Then I came back during the pandemic. And now I'm staying with it. And I've never been to a National because maybe the National didn't take place in their city growing up. And so they never went to one. So those people, we like those people because those people are, in a way, like us. They're here to buy and sell. They're interested in the new stuff and the old stuff. And they're just generally interested in collecting. They're not here to flip, make money, whatever. Those people exist, but there's a smaller subset. Maybe they're tied to breaking culture more than what we do. And so there's room for everybody. But I do feel that in that way, that group is keeping the hobby going. I agree with Tim. I wish you can buy wax. It's just not really possible. And we'll talk about that later with one of the new products that are coming out. But it's just harder and harder to buy boxes because they're so expensive. And the breakers are doing the job that we need them to do, which is get stuff out in the wild so I can buy singles, which is what now everyone is forced to do.
My observation, just having done card shows for the past 3 years now, 2021, 2022, 2023, 4 years almost. I feel like there's less people who are buying for investment. Don't take me as gospel for that, but just as far as people that I'm interacting with. 2021, people who are buying cards for me, many of them were going to get them graded. That was their intention. Like they would even I remember somebody saying they're looking at 2 cards and one said to the other one, oh no, that one's a die cut. Don't buy a die cut. Those don't grade well. Those tend not to grade well. Right. So, I mean, anything McDavid sold, anything Kaprizov sold, anything Lafreniere, because that was just after his rookie season wrapped up, he was still very popular. I feel that 2021, 2022, people were buying things just for the purpose of reselling and grading. So I had more sales, but it was a lot of to those types of customers. Now I feel that like I don't get a lot of those customers. Like I might have a guy stop at my table and ask me, like, I think one person asked me at the show, "Do you have an Ovechkin Young Gun?" But he wasn't like a fan or a collector. I could tell he was like either a reseller or flipper, whatever. But so he's thinking about Ovechkin going for Gretzky's goal record. But I remember in 2021, lots of people are asking me for that card. Like they grew on trees. Like they would say to me, "Got any Ovechkin Young Guns?" Like this is something I'd have like 5 or 10 of. And the other thing, Clemente, that you said that I agree with is that, yeah, the pool of collectors has gotten bigger. You have people our age, in our age group, who got back into collecting. They collected in the 80s and 90s. They took a break for college or whatever reason. They got back into it during the pandemic, right? So people who either got into it or back into it. So yeah, I feel that the pool of collectors is bigger. And the other thing about first time going to a national, I remember hearing about the National. I mean, I remember reading about it in like baseball card news back in like the late 80s and the early 90s. I even remember where there was one in Chicago in like 1993, and I totally missed out on it because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know it was coming to Chicago. It was always in like Anaheim or Texas or whatever. So I think people in our age group, we weren't going to just at 14 or 15 years old hop on a plane and fly to California because we want to buy some baseball cards or we want to buy some hockey cards, right? But I think now, we're in our 40s. We know how to travel. We know how to get around. And it's like, oh, this thing I want to do, it's in this other city. Okay, I'll check that out. I mean, I didn't leave town for a convention until I was like 27. I think I went to a Transformers convention, and it was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which isn't that far from Chicago. But still, like that was the first time I really thought, oh, I need to get a hotel and I need to book a flight and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it is exciting that there's a lot of people that have never gone to a national before and they're getting back into it and they're seeing there's a bigger collecting community and they want to be a part of it for whatever the reason is. It doesn't matter. Like you said, it's big enough for everybody.
Where'd they hold that convention in Fort Wayne? At the Coliseum?
The Transformers convention?
Yeah.
No, it was at a hotel.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I would think back then it wouldn't be big enough for that place. So.
No. It was at a hotel. I don't remember the hotel, but like it was just like basically like there was like a dealer room, where people were buying and selling Transformer toys. There was voice actors signing autographs, and this is back when they'd still be free, like free autographs. And then there were like panel discussions with like Hasbro. They were talking about like the new toys coming out and stuff like that. It's like how I say I want card conventions to be like. I know you can't really do free autographs anymore unless it's like a little show, but just it was more interactive. It was more fun. It was more like mingling with other people who like what you like and not just like show up, buy stuff, go home. Show up, buy stuff, go home, or go back to the hotel or whatever.
Was Peter Cullen there?
Peter Cullen, aka the voice of Optimus Prime, was not there. But Dick Gautier, who voiced Rodimus Prime, was there.
Oh, I see.
So was Gary Chalk, who voiced Optimus Primal from Beast Wars. He was there.
I don't remember that one.
Beast Wars from the late 90s?
I didn't get into that.
All right, yeah. Way off topic here.
By then we were out. By then,
yeah,
I was
long out. I'm talking like,
yeah,
Gen 1 when we were kids.
Right, like 87.
And like the original Transformers movie.
Yeah, I mean, like one I got Dan Gilvezan, who voiced Bumblebee, and he also voiced Peter Parker in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I got his autograph at a show. I think it was maybe the next year. Sometimes they'd have some of the guys from whatever series was out, and then they would try to bring in some guys who did Generation 1 characters. I'd get their autographs. I'd make like these custom cards, because like, what do you get a Transformer voice actor to sign, right? Like, there weren't like a lot of trading cards for Transformers. There was a set that was made in 1985 that's like, I'm finding out now it's like super rare and like cards are like really expensive. I have like maybe 60 or 70 of them. I don't have a set of them, but apparently they're pretty freaking expensive. So maybe not the best thing to get signed if you're worried about like value of them, but I didn't have any back then because whatever. So I would like make my own custom cards where I would take like the box art of the character, and then I'd like put the actor's name, the character's name, and then a big spot for them to autograph on. And these were big. These were like 5x7, and I would make those to get signed by voice actors. And I thought it was pretty clever for doing that. You got to have something to get them to sign, right?
Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
even.
absolutely.
I was just like trying to go through my head of all the things that you could possibly do. It's not like they were like GI Joes and they had the little cutout card on the back that you could.
Right. Well, the file cards.
Little bio file cards.
Well, they did have file cards. They did have little tech specs, they called them.
On the boxes, or they came in the box?
On the back of the boxes, the Transformer toys.
I don't know why I can't remember that.
I will say in the newer toys, because my son had a few a couple of years ago, they actually came with little cards inside.
Yeah.
So
they did that,
which is cool, like a little file. But back then, it was not a thing. Otherwise, you get those signed, I guess, the character.
Well, it was funny because back in 2022 at the expo, one of the autograph guests was Jerry Hauser, who played Killer Carlson in the movie Slapshot. But he also voiced the character Sandstorm in Transformers and the character Sci-Fi in G.I. Joe. So I had a little conversation with him about that. But I was talking with a Transformers fan, and I'm like, oh, what would be a cool thing to get signed by this guy who voiced Sandstorm? He's like, oh, it'd be really cool to get like a mint and sealed box Generation 1 Sandstorm figure signed. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. I'm going to spend $300 or $400 on a toy from 1986 so I could get it signed by the voice actor. It seemed a bit excessive.
Well, people are getting nowadays, they get the Funko box signed with the Funko character in it. That's not my thing, but people are doing that. And I'm not a big fan. I like Funko Pops, but I only have two, as everyone listens to the podcast.
And one is you, so that doesn't really count.
And the other one's Gritty. But yeah, so, but it doesn't count. But yeah, people will send the boxes through the mail and get autographs, but ultimately you're just getting a box signed.
Right.
It's not as exciting as I think I like your home project better.
Yeah, but it's a project, so.
So many of those original voice actors from that 86 movie are now passed. So it'd be something if you had autographs of like most of the main characters. That'd be crazy. It'd be a crazy piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, I mean, Scatman Crothers has passed away, and
I mean, he died not long after the movie came out.
Yeah, Chris Latta, who voiced Starscream, he died in the 90s, I believe, and
Leonard Nimoy's gone. Casey Kasem, Orson Welles.
Orson Welles died during the recording of Transformers the movie. Like he died halfway through the recording. Actually, Leonard Nimoy voiced Unicron for like part of the movie because they didn't finish recording all of Orson Welles' lines. Wow, we are way off topic here.
People are like, what podcast am I listening to?
Oh no, I clicked on Puck Junk, but it's a Transformers podcast.
I got off track.
It's a collaboration.
The original movie popped up in one of the stream feeds on something I was watching, and I was like, I need to watch that again. And so I watched it again, and I almost cried when Optimus Prime died again.
Well, spoiler alert. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, because he died. Okay, because the most badass good guy robot dies. But then on top of that, that music is really dramatic.
It is.
And then you notice that, like, at the end, there's no dialogue. You just see what everybody's thinking. Right. And like when the little boy starts crying, you don't hear him cry, but you see it. You know what I mean? It's more dramatic.
It's very visceral.
Yeah,
it's very visceral.
Like, it's well written.
And when you're a 7 or 8 year old kid watching that movie, it's destructive to your psyche.
Yeah,
it's absolutely destructive to your psyche. Plus, that's the tipping point where they try to make Hot Rod, one of my least favorite characters, into like the guy. And I'm like, get out of here. We're off track. Sorry. Let's transform ourselves back into where we need to be.
Yeah. I could with the magic of editing cut this part out, but I don't want to because I like talking about other stuff. I was on a Star Wars podcast not too long ago, Rebel Base Card podcast. We talked for so long, he actually ended up cutting it into 2 separate episodes. So one came out about 2 weeks ago. We talked about Star Wars figures from 1999. And then maybe a month or so before that, we talked about Upper Deck losing the Disney license. Anyway, Canadian Postal strike. This is a thing. This is a thing that affects us because we buy, sell, and trade with people in Canada. Us being in the United States, and Canada like loving hockey more than they like in the United States. And it's like, oh, I want to buy this hockey card. Oh, here the seller on eBay from Canada has it, and he's only charging $2.30 shipping. Okay, I'll buy it, right? But now it's going to take you 9 years to get that? It's funny, when I trade with people in Canada and we ship our stuff at the same time, I always get their thing in 5 days. They send me something, I get it under a week. Really good, really good. Under a week. It'll take them 2 weeks to get whatever I sent them. So it seems to work in our favor. Also with the shipping, right? I don't like shipping things to Canada because they're going to cost me a lot of money to do that, especially via the post office. I mean, packages more than 8 ounces, the price goes up to $20. That's nuts. For 8 ounces, that's half a pound, right? It's crazy. So, there's a strike, and I know that some people that I trade stickers with on the website laststicker.com have told me, Sal, I just can't trade with you right now. We got our strike going on, and don't want to send you stickers that might not get to you in a while. So, which is fair. But what are you guys thinking about this?
I didn't even really know about it at first, to be honest.
You got an email you want to share with us, right?
Well,
that's right.
I got an email today from Pirate Ship, which if you're not using Pirate Ship, and I'm not a paid sponsor, but they're great, and you can get shipping costs for a low amount. But I always want to call them Pirate Bay for some reason, because I guess I used to use that a lot, supposedly. At least that's what the feds tell me. But I went to the email and it was about something else. It was about their login or something, but it caused me to click on it, and right on the main screen, USPS suspends shipments going to Canada due to the postage strike. So, as you read down through the article, it says, due to the Canada postage strike, USPS has suspended shipment to Canada until further notice. This means you're unable to purchase a USPS label to Canada, meaning through their system. We know this is a real pain in all of our peg legs, Captain, especially with the holiday rush. And so then they give other alternatives. But I just thought that was funny because all of their stuff is pirate related. So you have to verify that you're a pirate instead of a robot when you try to log in and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so you can still send UPS. I guess UPS won't be affected because USPS uses Canada Post for last mile delivery in Canada. UPS doesn't. They move packages all through their private network independently, so it won't affect them. But anybody that's sending stuff that is subject to, I call them tariffs, but it's a brokerage fee, like international shipment brokerage fee. Anybody that's subject to that, those could be additional fees tacked on top of that. So UPS standard to Canada and Mexico, they typically incur an entry prep fee when you send them through their services, but they're pretty high. I just went to their page and you can key in theoretically what you're shipping. They've all went up 30-40%.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, you also have, because of the strike, but you also have the holiday season now. So there's a big crush. I'm guessing USPS doesn't ship anymore because all the packages at the border probably were building up because the Canadian people won't take them. So they probably, after that, we're talking about week 2 now of the strike. And so it is causing all kinds of headaches on eBay and ComC and PSA for the Canadian customers. I know at the expo, people were doing drop-offs at PSA. Those people, if you dropped off the last day of this show, you're probably not going to get that slab back because it's probably stuck in their warehouse somewhere. So there's all kinds of stuff happening. Hopefully there's a resolution soon. But I know when I see stuff on eBay the last few weeks, if the seller's in Canada, I don't bid on it or I don't buy it. I just say, well, I don't want it to be stuck in this no man's land for who knows how many weeks. And so I kind of just pass on it. So I think if you're a Canadian seller on eBay, you're probably feeling the pinch because no one in America is buying it. People in Canada aren't buying it. It's just sitting there. And if you do buy it, the shipper might have some issues in terms of getting it to you. As far as I know, the post in Canada is on strike, meaning that they won't even take your package. So, you can't even ship it. And so, yeah, it's going to cause all kinds of problems. Look, most people don't care about this, but we care about it because we're in the card community and it impacts transactions. If you're doing hockey cards like we do,
Yeah.
Canada is a really big, it's a big deal,
Yeah,
obviously. Bigger deal than if you're doing baseball.
You've just eliminated like 80% of the market share right there.
The inventory, correct.
Hey, what doesn't need to be shipped are NFTs. Maybe this will cause the growth of NFTs again, right?
Even this won't do it.
You don't have to mail them.
Just stop it. It's not going to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, it's not going to happen now.
But
no matter how many commercials during NHL games for the stupid breakaway crap.
NHL breakaway, yeah.
There's honestly, there really, I mean, we poke fun at it and stuff, but there is a market for that. And I've encountered quite a few people on social media lately. Well, when I say lately, I mean in the last few months, that they are serious about that stuff. So there's at least 3 people buying it. They claim there's a healthy community out there. I don't know. So sure, NFTs, that's the way to go. If you're looking for a Christmas present from Canada, buy an NFT. They won't have to ship it. I know that's not how it works, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I was going to get an NFT, maybe I could get one of Connor McDavid's thousandth. I can't speak.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, not very easy for me to say. 1,000th point, Connor McDavid's 1,000th point, or Sidney Crosby's 600 goal would be pretty cool NFTs to have, right? No, I don't know. I looked into buying an NHL breakaway and it needed some, I had to I don't think it took PayPal. I think it was I don't know if it took crypto. I didn't look that hard, but it was just pass. You know what I mean? And it was too expensive and I just wasn't that into it. Great, I got this animated video on my phone, just kind of nice, but kind of silly. But then again, I liked Power Deck, which had videos, but that was still a physical, tangible thing. It was a card that you would put into your computer. You could hold it and touch it and throw it on the floor. But yeah, let's talk about Crosby. Oh, by the way, when you were talking about replacing Optimus Prime with Rodimus Prime, I was thinking, yeah, when they replaced Mario Lemieux with Sidney Crosby. Is that kind of the same thing?
I wouldn't say they replaced them.
No, because no.
Mario was captain and then Crosby was captain.
That's not even, you can't even make that comparison.
He got the matrix of leadership and he became the leader of the Penguins, right? This is just like Transformers the movie.
No, you're just stretching. This is a reach. This is a massive reach. No, I would not make that comparison. I wouldn't even attempt to make that comparison.
Okay.
I can't even believe you would try to do that.
I thought it was funny.
Just sickens me.
All right, so Crosby, 21st player to score 600 goals, and the 7th player to do that accomplishment with one team. So, pretty awesome.
Yeah, especially considering that rarely, if ever, happens anymore. I mean, ever since you had
traded 5 times.
Yeah, ever since with free agency becoming what it was or what it is, guys don't stay with teams. There's no loyalty, and nor should there be. But there's no loyalty anymore. So yeah, if a guy wants to stay with a team forever, sure, more power to him. But it's an exception rather than the rule anymore. Yeah, so the fact that he was able to do that in front of the home crowd, first of all, we won't talk about the results of the game, but his family was there. They paused the game after he scored. The team rushed the ice, all met him in the corner, jumped off the boards, didn't get assessed bench penalties for it, so that was nice. They paused the game. He went over, and then after he got on the bench, they announced the goal. the crowd went crazy for like ever, and he waved to the crowd, and then like the next TV timeout, I guess they played a tribute video for him on the big screen. So that was pretty cool. So now the trivia question becomes, who did Crosby score his 600th goal against? That'll be on Jeopardy one day, probably, maybe. The answer's Karel Vejmelka, but I'm just throwing that out there.
I was recently watching Jeopardy, and I think one of the categories was like famous Alexanders, and one of them was Ovechkin. One of the clues was Ovechkin. So
Nice.
Really?
So yeah, that was kind of cool. I was like, hey, I got one right.
Can you name who Crosby scored his very first goal against?
Ooh, the team or the goalie?
The goalie.
Oh,
Well, go ahead with the teams. Can you name the team?
I'm going to guess that it was Henrik Lundqvist on the Rangers.
yeah, that was my guess. Not Lundqvist, but the Rangers. That was my guess.
That would be incorrect.
Okay.
What was it?
It was the Boston Bruins.
Ah.
And
Who's their
care to
goalie that year?
throw out the goalie.
Would that have been Andrew Raycroft?
I don't know. I was asking you. I'm
know.
not sure. I just figured you would know
Oh, you're no fun.
because you know all of that kind of stuff. No guesses?
No, just tell us.
It was Hannu Toivonen.
Toivonen!
Oh,
Yeah. See, nobody would ever guess that.
Yeah, but
No.
did you know that Hannu Toivonen was a Stanley Cup champion with the Chicago Blackhawks? He was one of our Black Aces.
Very good. It's always good to win cup when you don't do anything and sit with a suit on up top.
Yeah, he also had a really sweet slap shot themed goalie mask that looked like Denny Lemieux's mask with like the angry face on it.
Mm.
Yeah, Hannu Toivonen. Good times.
That's your other trivia question. That's his first goal and his 600th goal.
Nice. So Connor McDavid scored his 1,000th point. See, I could say it now. It only took me 5 tries. I got the answers in front of me. Let's see if you guys know this without Googling. So he is the 5th fastest person to get to 1,000 points. So can you guess who 1, 2, 3, and 4 are? Fastest players to get to 1,000 points.
5th? I thought he was the 4th fastest.
Or is he?
Well,
Was it?
okay. I see
Okay,
what
yeah,
you're
you see
doing.
where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
I'm being a smart ass. Clemente, any guesses?
So I have to guess 4 of the players, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the trick here but I have to guess it's Gretzky.
Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Mario.
Optimus Penguin.
Oh, right. Yeah, Lemieux, and then Messier.
Good guess, Mike Bossy. So
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
my boss.
Gretzky got
That
to
makes sense.
1,000 points in 424 games.
Okay.
But then he got to the 2,000th point in 433 games after that. So 424 to get to 1,000, 433 to get to another 1,000.
yeah, I knew that's what you were doing.
He's twice. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy when like there's a record and you're like, I have first place in the record. Oh, and I also have second place for the record, right?
Right.
Mario did it in 513 games. Mike Bossy did it in 656 games. Connor McDavid did it in 659 games. So, yeah. 4th player, but 5th fastest, if that makes sense.
You got to still look at that as a pretty impressive milestone to hit,
Yeah.
considering that's a very, very small list and one guy's on it twice.
Yeah, and one guy's Gretzky. I mean,
Yeah.
and the other guy's Mario. And then Mike Bossy was lightning in a bottle. You think of like that 10-year career that he had was just amazing. You know, like
Yeah, he's arguably one of the best pure goal scorers that's ever played in the game.
right. Bossy could have, I mean, obviously had back issues, so he had to retire. I even remember hearing in like 1990 that the Hartford Whalers were trying to lure him out of retirement. And I never saw Bossy play, so I was like, oh, that'd be cool if he came out of retirement, you know. I was excited to see Guy Lafleur play. Some of these guys that had played in the 70s, and by the time I got into hockey, most of them were, many of them were already gone. But at the show that I was at, that the Chicago Sports Spectacular, not a lot of people asked me about McDavid. Like, I don't think I sold anything of his. I might have sold a card, like a couple dollar card. One person was looking for a rookie card, which I didn't have. I had some pretty good cards, just nothing that you'd say is like a young gun or an an RPA or anything like that. But yeah, it wasn't like a lot of people were clamoring for his cards. I mean, he's only 27 years old. He's got a lot of game left in him.
Yeah, but he's established. He's a Hall of Famer for sure.
Yep.
And the price of the cards for him, or especially his rookie year ones, are ridiculously priced. So
Right.
they're expensive. So it's not for everybody to chase McDavid.
Right.
And it hasn't been the case for probably 5 years. I mean, maybe more. I mean, this is what could happen to Bedard if he is able to accumulate one season after another and scoring lots of goals and putting up lots of points.
Mm-hmm.
His cards are already kind of getting away from everybody, and they'll keep going in that direction. So, and the other two are Crosby and Ovechkin. So we talk about the big 3 or 4 in the hobby, then Gretzky, talk about McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin, and then maybe Bedard now, and that's it. And then everybody else, you can negotiate. It's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But those 4 and 5 are elite. And I mean, we talk about McDavid all the time in terms of, does he need to win a cup? It'd be nice, but he doesn't need to do anything else other than score 100 points a year and season and keep doing that for another. I mean, he's 27, so probably has another, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years, maybe more, maybe less, depending. But the way science is now, medicine, they can play pretty late in their careers.
Well, also if they adapt their game, and if they, like,
Right.
you think of somebody like I always use him as an example, but like Steve Yzerman played 22 years, started at 18, retired at 40, if I remember correctly. When you have these guys who are elite, and maybe they don't score as many points, but then they become a little more defensive minded, but their all around game is superb, and they're just smart players. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that like the guys who depend too much on speed, maybe they don't play till they're 40. Maybe they're done by 35, 36, 38. And that's great. That's respectable. Like Patrick Kane's an example that comes to mind. He's injured as of this recording. You look at like how he did with the Red Wings last year. He did pretty good. It took him a little while. He came back, didn't do so good. He got hurt, came back. Then he did pretty good, like for the second half of the season. Right. But, a lot of his game depended on him just being able to outskate, outmaneuver, outstick handle. I don't know. And I'm not trying to diss on him. I love Patrick Kane, but like, you just think of like the players, like they find another dimension to their game. You know what I mean?
Look at who we were just talking about a second ago.
And that was
Crosby. He's 37
Crosby.
years old. He's in his 19th year in the league.
Yeah.
So he's pushing that 20, that 20-year mark. He'll hit the 20-year mark. He's not going to retire. He might keep going after that. I mean, you never know.
I mean, how old was Mario when he retired? I know he came.
Which time?
Okay, haha, and you're going to say that. All right. For reals, when he retired the second and final time.
Yeah.
He was like 40.
Yeah, off the top of my head.
He was born in 65. So 0506, he would have been 40 when he would have retired at like 40, 41 years old. Okay. But point is he did play that. I mean, I know obviously he had to take time off because of injuries, and he retired for a couple of years and such. But what I'm saying is that like the greats, they can play until their early 40s. Like the all-time greats.
He was 40 when he announced it.
Okay.
So that was January of 06.
And if he didn't have that heart problem, because he still wanted to play, if he didn't have that problem, he could have played another year or two. I mean, he was a solid contributor.
Well, his back problems wrecked him. I mean, absolutely wrecked his career early on.
Right.
And when he retired the first time in 96, 97, he had that. He had the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, I mean, he had so many obstacles that he had to overcome and miss so much time.
Right.
I mean, everybody remembers the year where he was out half the season. He came back midway through the season and still won the scoring title. So, I mean, that's unmatched. Like, you don't have that. And even Gretzky says, I mean, Mario was better than I am. I mean, the statistics don't show it, but give that guy a career.
I agree. Lemieux had the size that Gretzky didn't have, and you're right. If it wasn't for the injuries and the Hodgkins.
Plus, for a good 6-7 years, Penguins didn't have like goons on their team to
Oh, right. They didn't have all
bring
right.
him.
Right.
He had to fight his own battles a lot of times. So I'm not taking anything away from Gretzky at all, but I mean,
No.
good Lord, the fact that he could do what he did in the same,
Despite
despite
in
all
the
of
same
that,
era. Yeah.
and he gets cancer and comes back,
Right.
scores multiple goals the night he comes back after going through chemo that morning. The fact that he retired, then came back again, and it's like every single time, just when he thought he was out, they pull him back in, and he still shows that he can play.
You know who this is like? You know what this is like? This is like Optimus Prime from the Transformers. Because remember, Optimus Prime died in the movie, then he came back in the season 3 Return of Optimus Prime 2-part episode, right? To light their darkest hour. Again, Lemieux retired, and then he came back.
It sounds like you came in with a theme today, even though you didn't tell us about it. Anyways,
No, I don't even know how he got started on.
I will say this to go back to McDavid.
Yeah.
Lemieux and Crosby both played, for one team, and McDavid is associated with the Oilers. But I do wonder if he will ever leave the Oilers at some point and sign with a different team. You just never know.
You could clearly see frustration levels boiling over at times up
Yeah,
there.
I mean, given what happened last season and last few years, they got really close. I feel at some point he probably feels like, do I have to leave this market? Do I have to go somewhere else? Or is he so tied with that franchise now? I mean, we think of Gretzky as an Oiler, but then he became a King, and then he moved around after that. I mean, so it's very possible that McDavid will win a cup, maybe somewhere else the next 5 years, 6 years. We just don't know. And it'd be fun to see how that works out.
Well, and there's no Canadian market that's easy to play in at all.
No.
Because the expectations are always high.
Right.
And the microscope is on you because it's the center of the hockey universe.
Right.
The epicenter being Toronto, but Canada especially, people expect championships. They expect winning. They expect, we're Canada, we have to be the best.
Yeah, look at Montreal. They're in last place, right? So when things are bad, they're bad.
To your point before, like we were talking about, maybe the investors are rolling out of the hobby and such. That's really where the focus has been the last few years. It's like, yeah, you have the Ovechkins, and there is some attention on chasing the record. And sure, Crosby's going to get some attention because he's been the best player, arguably the best player in the league forever. McDavid, currently probably the best player in the league, but everybody wants the new, the latest, the greatest, and what everybody's talking about. So whoever the young gun is, which is why we had Bedard Mania going crazy and a bajillion young guns and having them all graded and stuff. And everybody's like, oh, the sky's the limit for this kid. I mean, I'm not going to dump on the guy, but he's only got 5 goals this year. Just saying. I'm not saying he's a bust. Definitely not jumping on that which I've heard already. I'm definitely not jumping on that, but I mean, he's got 19 points in 24 games, which is cool, but 5 goals. That's definitely not the pace that people were expecting for this generational type guy that's supposed to be the heir apparent to the Crosby, the McDavid, the Ovechkin. Now, hobby-wise for right now, yeah, he's front and center. He's got all the attention. So nobody picking up a McDavid card at a large regional show, I could understand that. Nobody picking up a McDavid card 8 months from now at the National, that's going to lead me to start questioning some things.
Right. And people did ask for Bedard cards at the Chicago Sports Spectacular, but They were definitely more of the collector mindset. Like, oh, you have that card that I don't have, I'd like it. Or, you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
And that has to be the foundation to sustain all of this,
Yes, of
right?
course.
So all the focus might be on Bedard and stuff, but if you could actually legitimately say it, I think from a hobby standpoint right now and within the ebbs and flows of it, you could actually say McDavid and Crosby might even be underrated when it comes to hobby, because all the focus gets pushed to the latest and greatest hot rookie or whoever's doing this at the time. I mean, how many times have we over the years talked about on a weekly basis, like, you pick the player, all of a sudden their cards went through the roof. Like a year or two ago, it was Tage Thompson. Nobody cared about his cards, and all of a sudden you couldn't even find one for under 20 or $30, a young gun. Or that one game that Mika Zibanejad had like 5 goals in one game, and everybody's like, it's the second coming. What? I'm not paying $60 for this young gun. That's a $4 card.
Or another example is Jason Robertson. I remember when PSA 10 Young Guns of Jason Robertson was like a $500 card. And then I saw one not too long ago, and I think the guy wanted $100 for it. Can you imagine, like 2 years ago, it's $500 card graded PSA 10, and now it's like 100, 150. It's a pretty steep fall,
Like I said, there's ebbs and flows of this whole thing, and especially in the hockey market, because you have that push from that investor, like, I want the latest and greatest, I'm going to prospect kind of crowd, to the player collectors or team collectors, or, I like these guys. You don't get that as much, especially when you're not in a hockey type market or environment for the hobby. So, yeah, I could certainly see 1 or 2 people saying, hey, I need a McDavid or I need an Ovechkin, and 37 people asking for Bedard if it's a show in Chicago. Like I said, the real gauge going forward, I think, will be how many people at the National coming up are like, Bedard, Bedard, Bedard. Depends on how he finishes the season. If it's the proverbial sophomore slump, yikes.
Well, shall we talk about Skybox Metal Universe?
Do it.
2023-24 Skybox Metal Universe. So when the set launched a little while back, a month or so ago, hobby boxes were at 140. Now they're at about 110. So a hobby box is 15. Yeah, bit of a drop there too.
That's almost affordable.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about buying a few more hobby boxes. But okay, so 15 packs per box, 7 cards per pack, 105 cards total per box. Now, me, with Metal Universe, I've always been a fan of the blaster boxes, so I'm going to talk about the prices for those. So blaster box is about $30 if you find one at Target or at Walmart. I buy them at Target.com. I have a Target card, so I get 5% off, so they're like $27.50. However, I was checking DA Card World, and they're also selling blaster boxes, but for $25. So a blaster box gets you 5 packs, 7 cards per pack, 35 cards total. So in the past couple of years, your hobby box was over $200. And I would buy 3 blaster boxes and get 100 cards, 130, 35, 90, 100 and what is it, 30, 16, 105 cards, right? So my whole mentality was, well, unless you really want that one autograph per box, which, by the way, you don't get an autograph per box. It's not guaranteed like it used to be. Now it's an autograph or a premium card per box. And of course the different inserts and such. But my point was that for 2021, 21-22, 22-23, I really loaded up on the blaster boxes because I was trying to build the set. And if you're worried about the base cards and the short prints, you get the same amount regardless of whether it's from a hobby box, hobby pack, or a retail pack. The real big difference with the hobby box is that you can get an autograph card or a printing plate or something else. You're right, though. They're kind of affordable. Let me just give the quick breakdown here. 100 cards base set, 1 through 100. 101 through 150 are stars. 151 through 200 are rookies. And packs will have 4 base cards, 2 short print cards, and 1 insert. And that's the same whether it's hobby or retail. So you'll never just get all base. You'll get base, short prints, and insert. So it's a fairly easy set to build. Not super easy because there's still 100 short prints, but you get 2 per pack. So 50 packs is kind of a manageable number. So anyways, I opened a hobby box. I also opened 3 retail blasters. And as always, I like Metal Universe, big fan of it in the 90s, of course, and still a fan of it today. There's things that I wish that were better, which I'll talk about a little later, and the inserts and parallels, talk about that later. But what are your thoughts on this set, guys, if you have any?
Clemente, you go first.
Yeah, when this first came out, so look, let's start off with the whole metal.
When you start off with look, it's going somewhere good.
I saw the mock-ups a few months back, and I got to tell you, I saw the spaceship in the background, and I got totally turned off. I don't know why. It just
What?
I just didn't. I was like, I don't. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm
Yeah,
like,
but by now you got to
what?
know what this is. That's what metal does.
No, I know. But like, I've never quite been into this set. I don't know why. It's the whole metal universe thing is huge. People love it, and I get why Upper Deck brought it back and has been building on it and everything else. Now, having said that, I do like some of the inserts, and so the designs are original in the inserts, which is nice because everything we've looked at this year, it seems, the last few years anyway, is all 90s, like hard 90s throwback.
Oh, there's still those there, though. There are those as well.
There are, and I get it because this set was born in that decade, but it just looks more creative to me than for example, like the goose eggs. I think that's fun. I like that. For example, the goalies on it, and the one I like too is the whole Skybox kind of throwback to 1990-91 basketball. I do like that design, and so I like some of the mock-ups I've seen. I like some of the cards. Because I've been so hesitant to buy wax or buy boxes. Am I going to buy a box of this? Probably not. Do I want to buy individual cards of players I like or Rangers players in my case? Maybe. But I can also see the price of this thing going down further. I think I've seen other Metal Universes from previous years also start to go down in price over time because interest kind of just sort of starts to sag after a while because there's so much product out there.
Well, you know what kills the price? It's an easy. We can say it all together. E-Pack. As soon as it hits E-Pack, the price plummets.
Yeah, sure. We're not even there yet, probably. Is it on E-Pack already? I don't even know.
Not yet.
No. Okay. So it's only going to go down more. But I like some of the designs. I know it's throwbacky, but some of the other designs I don't love. And it's maybe just me, but I don't necessarily want to have a card of whomever with this weird looking spaceship in the back.
Some of the spaceships, I just need to point out, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, some of the spaceships look like the Cylon Raiders from the original Battlestar Galactica from 1978. So, like, I'm looking at one here of Jared McCann, and those are Cylon Raiders. I mean, maybe they changed some of the details and they don't have the Cylon insignias on them, but those, my friend, are Cylon Raiders. Now, I'm sure there's other famous spaceships in there, or famous or lookalikes. I haven't really been able to scrutinize them as well, but those stand out to me. Like, I know what those are. Those are Cylon Raiders. Then there's like UFOs and stuff, giant buildings, etc. I don't know. Like, I like the whole ridiculousness of it, so that's my take. And I like the etched foil thing. I was a fan of that in the 90s, and I like it now. And it's a pretty finite set. It's not like 700 cards. It's only 200 cards. I'm glad you brought up the 1990 Skybox Metal Retros, which are styled to look like the 90-91 Skybox basketball cards. I am so annoyed that those are tough pulls. You only get one in every 240 hobby packs, or one in every 480 blaster packs. I loved that 1990-91 Skybox basketball set. In fact, I own 2 basketball sets in pages, in binders on my shelf. One is 89-90 Hoops. The other one is 90-91 Skybox, which was big for the time because it cut the players out and it put them in front of these backgrounds that were computer generated. And this is back when computer generated was like tens of thousands of dollars. Like now you look at that, that's laughable. You can do that on those sorts of effects on your phone. But at the time I looked at that and I said, wow, I wish there was a set of hockey cards that looked like this. Well, you look at like SP Authentic sets now where they'll have like the player cut out in front of like a swirly, geometric-y kind of background. And that's kind of like what it looks like. But I'm a little sad that those are so hard to pull because I like that basketball set. And to me, seeing that basketball set used for a hockey design, I think is really freaking cool. But they're probably really expensive. So I guess I'll just have to wait until they're on ePack and then hope that lots and lots and lots of people break and get those and put them up for sale and that they're not combinable. Because then if they're combinable, then people will like merge them for like the silver version or whatever.
Yeah, I was looking, and we talked about this before, about those coming out. I don't think we did it on the air. Maybe we did, I'm not sure. But so yeah, this isn't out on ePack yet, but a bunch of people have sent stuff to ComC. And so I was looking at these every time they pop up. Right now, the cheapest one is Tim Stützle. He's under $20. But other than that, most of them are 30, 35. Going for it right now. You can buy them today out the door.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. For a case hit, yeah. I mean, it's not horrible.
Some of the inserts are, well, let me just go through these without getting into every single version. So in addition to the 1990 Skybox Metal Retros, which look like the old basketball cards, there's 97-98 Rookies with PMG red, green, and gold versions, 2008 9 Rookie Retros, also with PMG versions and Spectrum FX Purple and autograph versions, 2013 Retros, which use illustrations. Those are pretty cool. I like those. Also, they got PMG blue, gold, green, and red versions. Then they have some interesting inserts that are like space themed. Like there's one called Energetic Explosions. There's another one called 9.461 EKM, which I had to look up. That's a light year in kilometers. Okay, don't ask me about scientific notation. I forgot all of that. Of course, there's jambalaya. There's one called Martensite, which is another one I had to Google. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Martensite. And that is, and I'm quoting, a hard and very brittle solid solution of carbon and iron that is the main constituent of hardened steel. So yeah, they were really reaching with that. Like the set is called metal, and we're going to just, use this word, this $10 word. Meltdown, Netrageous, Palladium, Premium Player, Quick Stroke, Premium Prospects, Soul of the Game, Titori Phase, and Titori Star, which I guess a Titori Star is a young star that's less than 10 million years old. So I guess that's like their way of saying these are the young stars of the games, the ones that are less than 10 million years old. So not Crosby.
So you certainly won't find Yager on that list.
Or Crosby, right? But what was I going to say? Oh, the Business, Vivacity, Z-Force, Z-Force Super Rave, and Z-Force Universal Rave, which I could almost see that printed on like a flyer. Remember when you were like college and there'd be like some flyers posted like, oh, come to this rave, Z-Force Universal Rave, $5 to get in or whatever. But the one that I'm holding back on, because I think I have a new candidate for the Bad Hockey Card Hall of Fame here. Hang on, let me find it.
A gem.
No, it's the Constellations.
Oh, the floating head cards? Yeah.
So the floating heads.
Giant floating head in front of space. Heads in space, right? So now I got to just figure out which one of these is going to be in the Bad Hockey Card Hall of Fame?
That's like that head in space is like when the Starship Enterprise encountered Abe Lincoln in space.
Yeah, like the giant face or whatever.
It's like a giant Lincoln just floating in outer space.
Well, was it a head or was it like...
It was like a whole body, but yeah.
This is just a giant head.
But there's been floating heads on cards forever.
I know, but this is just...
Yeah, but there's been things like the 72, 73 floating heads that are famous.
Yes.
But they weren't backdropped behind a black hole nebula or whatever is going on with this.
Right.
So
the Big Dipper or whatever's behind them.
Right. So thank you, Upper Deck, for giving me a bad card that I can induct in the...
Wait, but are those floating heads a insert set? What is
It's an insert set. They're like 1 in every 9 packs or something. I ended up with like 3 of them. And then there's different players. I haven't seen pictures of all of them, but I just need to find one that just looks particularly terrible. Because it's cheesy, but it can't just be like... I thought... oh God, what was that? Thermal Threats from 15-16.
Oh, where the guy's like on fire.
Full Force, yeah,
Full
right.
Force.
Yeah, those look terrible. The one that I picked, I think it was Andrew Hammond. That one was like really terrible. Because he's like smiling. He looks like the annoying orange.
It's like Hellraiser. Yeah. Not good.
I would rather have giant floating heads in outer space than like premium prospects. What's exciting about this card? I mean, it's a nice design. It's cut out of a player. He's on like a shimmery blue and silver background. That's great. This could be like a design for ice or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's a nice design, but when you look at like an insert card and you get something like, okay, premium prospects, whatever, or like this one, like Meltdown, okay? It's just the player in front of the words Meltdown. It's kind of cool, but it doesn't really like speak to me. And then here we got like Z-Force. Yeah, I mean, it's also okay. I don't know. I think with the set like Metal Universe, I want the ridiculousness. So, yay for giant floating space heads.
Did you get an autograph at all?
No, I got a printing plate of Brad Marchand.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess if you like Brad Marchand.
Score.
Or printing plates, but yeah.
I guess a printing plate of a star player is preferable than an autograph of a mediocre player.
Yes, in the trading card world, akin to poker, I would say you're right. Like, because we talked about some of the autographs we pulled from boxes recently, and it's not good. Guys who played 3 games, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree that a printing plate of a known star is still better than something really obscure.
Right.
You could surely unload that for a couple bucks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people like the Bruins, people like Brad Marchand, I guess the thing is like, I'm just kind of indifferent to printing plates. Like, somebody gifted me one, and I thought it was really nice. It was a Blackhawks printing plate, and I thought it was really nice. And he also added in the card from the set that it was from. And he's like, no, this is for you. This is just a gift. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for the podcast. Here's a printing plate. I'm like, oh, thank you. This is cool. So, I mean, I'm keeping that one, obviously. And then players that I collect, the former goaltender Carter Hutton, I have a lot of his printing plates, but printing plates of his cards, but maybe like 5 or 6 different ones. And I think I have one of like some random Leaf Dennis Savard card that was like $5 or $10. I mean, it was just like inexpensive, and it was of a player I collect. So I said, yeah, all right. But to each their own, I guess. Some people, I mean, if you get all 4 printing plates of the same card, that's awesome. I've never been able to do that. So if you could do that, more power to you. That's pretty freaking cool.
Well, that was one of the best things that the Cup did when they started including them on the fold out.
Oh, okay. Then I stand corrected. I have a Carter Hutton that has all 4 of the printing plates. So I guess I do have 4 of one of his cards.
Yeah, because if you can get the booklet, you don't have to track all 4 of them down.
Yeah. Yeah, I put a mega bid on that I won.
Oh, a mega bid.
Oh, we're still doing that? I didn't know.
I don't know, but I was just like, well, where the heck am I going to find this again, right?
Yeah, I only mega bid cards coming from Canada because I'm not going to get them anyway.
But you still got to pay for them.
It's true.
Yeah, or not get them. I mean, I've mega bid stuff, and then people beat me by $1. and then I just forced that guy to spend way more money than he would have or she
Yeah,
would have
joke's
on
on
a
you,
card.
sucker.
Joke's on
You
you.
just spent $58 on something that's only worth $35.
No, what I was going to say about printing plates is that if I see them in the wild, I don't care. But if I pull one, then I feel like I have a gem, like I have some kind of diamond, where I'm like, oh, I could probably get like decent money for this. I think it's a difference between seeing cards out there that you wouldn't want and then pulling something. Like when you pull a numbered card, you suddenly in your head think this is worth probably way more than it probably would ever be worth. Because there's something about pulling something as opposed to seeing it and going, yeah, that's fine, but I don't want to buy that.
Well, when you pull it, it's yours. It's yours automatically.
Yeah, well, you bought the box, so you have to be enamored with everything. And look, I kind of like the universe. Speaking of universe, but the universe of where you would buy a box and were guaranteed an autograph. I felt like that was the payoff for buying the box.
Right.
And now they're not doing that anymore. They're doing this whole like you could get an autograph, but you could also get a premium card. And if this printing plate is the premium card, then I'm kind of disappointed because even when you spent $110, even if it's an autograph of a guy that's, it still feels like, oh, well, someone signed this card. That's really different from the rest of these cards. And I wish they would go back to that because when they say one or the other, I almost think the ratio is lopsided. I have to think that for every Metal Universe box with an autograph, there's got to be like 5 or 10 or more that don't have an autograph. That's what I think. I don't think it's like 2 to 1. I think it's the odds of buying a box and getting an autograph are probably pretty slim, I would think.
Yeah, and the autographs cost money, whereas they could just print the card on a different colored background and say it's a premium. I'm doing this every time you say premium. I'm doing finger quotes now because
Right. Air quotes,
premium,
yeah.
right? Like,
what does that mean? Right. What does that mean?
They started that nonsense with the Aurum inserts. You could get an autograph or an Aurum insert. And I'm like, I don't want the Aurum insert. I don't care how rare it is. There have been times where I said like, oh, I don't want that. And then Tim has showed me what they look like. And I said, okay, I take that back. That's actually a really freaking cool insert card. So sometimes they can be cool. Don't get me wrong. I can't remember what the example was, but whatever it was, I was just like, okay, that was cool.
But it's different when it's an insert versus your hit, your quote unquote hit, which is, hey, this is what got people to show up to the movie. You know,
right?
This actor is in this box,
right?
And then it turns out that they were killed in the first 3 seconds of the movie. It's like, what the heck? This is stupid.
Right. Or feels that way.
Yeah. So not to harp on the printing plate thing, but printing plates are a very polarizing thing in the hobby. Some people extremely hate them. I also haven't met many people that really, really love them, except for player collectors that like to try to get all 4 so that they can have that as some type of centerpiece as part of the collection. And, you're right. It's hard to put a value on them. So saying that, hey, I made my box back off of that, if that's what your goal was, I mean, you're going to have to hit one of the major guys in order to recoup something like that. Because honestly, you can buy printing plates all day after the market's been flooded with them for $10-15 for most of the minor guys. I mean, heck, right now, because there isn't any out there on ComC, there's one printing plate. They're asking $60 for it, and it's Robert Thomas. If Robert Thomas could get $60, not that anybody's bought it, but obviously you could get at least that for
Marshall,
a potential future Hall of Famer.
Now, there are some parallels, including some that are exclusive to the blaster boxes. So the hobby boxes have the PMG red, green, and gold. I say PMG, that's precious metal gems. So PMG red, green, and gold, autograph versions. But the blaster boxes have Spectrum FX blue and Spectrum FX purple that are exclusive. And the purples are serial numbered out of 199. What was kind of funny was I was opening one of my blasters and I literally got the blue and purple of the same player in the same pack. And they were like one after another. It's of William Nylander. I was like, look, I'm like, oh, William Nylander. Oh, William Nylander again. And then I looked, I'm like, hey, I wonder if the base card of him is in here too. Nope. But still, I just thought that was kind of cool to get like well, to get two of the same. It'd be cooler if it was a player that I collected. But interesting that blaster boxes would have something serial numbered out of 199. Is 199 low?
No.
What's low?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, I don't know about this set, but in general, it's not that low, right?
I think anything under 300 is low, isn't it?
No.
No?
Not anymore. No, not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore when there's 37 parallels of each one and all of them are numbered, except for the last
Right.
12, which none of them are numbered, but they're scarce and you don't know how scarce.
Well, but I mean, like, okay, 1, 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100.
Under 50, yeah. Over 100, no.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends.
I mean, unless it's something that they're going to space out pretty far. Like you're talking about the PMGs. You know,
Yep.
the Reds have been out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to still command a premium because they're PMGs.
Right.
PMG doesn't just stand for precious metal gems. You know, it also stands for pretty much all of your money gone, is what that stands for.
Pretty much gone.
Yeah. Because they do command that premium. And then the lower ones, like the greens and so on and so forth, and if you end up somehow finding a gold, I mean, you basically printed your own money. Are they overhyped? Yeah, maybe. But it diminishes everything else that's in there. Like a PMG out of 100 is going to command way higher than anything else in this set that's out of 100.
Oh, of course. And Spectrum FX, they're very clear to say that those are not PMGs, right?
Right.
No, these are Spectrum FX, but they look like PMGs, just different colors.
And there's a clear distinction with what people are going to be willing to pull them. So not, I guess to answer your question, not every out of 100 or out of 199 or out of 299 or 399, et cetera, are created equal, because they're not. So it's really going to depend on what, you know, what overall is really out there. A product hits, it's super popular, breakers dump it, it lands on ePack, and out of the 199 that are out there, 165 of them can be accounted for within the first 3 months of the product being released. Well, it's going to significantly impact the value.
You know, there's one interesting detail that I think it's overlooked on this design. Yeah, we see that it's a player cut out and superimposed in front of like spaceships and starlit skies and giant buildings or whatever, right? Like all this stuff, right? Like I'm holding the Brad Marchand card now. And it looks like he's in front of looks like he's in front of like a normal city. Doesn't even look like a futuristic city, but there's like spaceships in the sky, so maybe the city is getting invaded. But you know, one little interesting detail is that they put the card number on the front as well as the back. And you almost never see that. Card numbers are always on the back. I'm sure there's a lot of examples. I can only think of a few examples of where they put the card number on the front and the back. Now, old Parkhurst cards that were just one-sided, they just put the number on the front because there was no back. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that they decided to incorporate the card number on the front for some reason. It's kind of strange.
Wonder why that is.
Don't know. No idea.
That is strange. That's certainly not normal.
You know, the one set that comes to mind, this is just a really random set. Oh, we're going to go for another pop culture trifecta here. Let's see. We talked about Star Wars. We talked about Transformers. We talked about Star Trek.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to throw in Ninja Turtles. The first set of Ninja Turtle cards from 1989. Actually, I think they did this for all three series because they had the same design. The card number was on the front and the back. Don't know why. It just was. Just was. Kind of weird. Kind of cool. Kind of different.
I can't think of any other sports card set like that. Not for hockey, but even for baseball or something else. I don't recall numbers on the front and the back.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything.
It's interesting.
I can't think
of anything. Yeah, it's just very strange.
I don't know. Maybe it's futuristic or something. I don't know. Either way, I like these cards. I'm really tempted to buy a few more hobby boxes because I'm going to piece together the set anyway. You know, the typical strategy, buy enough boxes to build the base set and get some of the short prints, then wait till it hits e-pack, and then pick up the rest of the short prints. Any of them will be like 50 cents. Of course, the Connor Bedard rookie card will be more, but if he continues to not play well and desaturate e-pack when it comes out on e-pack, then yeah, it might not be super expensive.
So since you were on the subject of mysteries and why that's on the front, can I question another mystery that I found with this?
Sure.
So you were going through all the different parallels and everything and talked about the 0809 rookie retros.
Yep.
Can you remind me when the Skybox set came out in 0809?
When it came out in 0809?
Yeah. Yeah, for there to be retros to that set design. I was just wondering when that set came out. Here, I'll speed it up for you. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. So I don't know why it's in 0809. I don't get like some of these, like when they say like 2013 or whatever.
Okay, so the 2013 retros, they match the 2013 design from Fleer. What was that set that came out?
Fleer Retro?
Fleer Retro, yes.
Fleer Retro, yeah. That was a nice set.
But the 0809 rookie retro is not referencing anything in the hockey realm. So I thought, you know what? Skybox was still around for basketball.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
Right.
the basketball design because, they've recycled across sports.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at the actual rookies in the Skybox set from basketball that year, they look nothing like this design. So I'm not sure what this is a retro throwback to. Again, mystery. I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue. I've tried to figure it out.
Could it be a set they never made? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Because I mean Skybox has been was always part of that Fleer branding, and
Right.
Upper Deck dusted it off quite a few times over the years before it became a thing. But not in 0809.
Right.
And if you look at like the 0809, other Fleer product from hockey, at least, you will pretty much find that the only thing out there was Ultra. Doesn't look like anything in Ultra. Like, I went through most of the stuff that was there. The rookie cards don't look anything like that. The rookie cards in that set looked like the base cards. And if you go to all the inserts that were in there, I mean, the ones that featured rookies, they don't look anything like this. I thought it might have been like rookie sensations, but it's not. So I have no clue. I don't know where this design comes from. Maybe it's a concept design. I don't. No idea.
Yeah, that's what I thought maybe.
Suppose that's a question should be reserved for our friends over at Upper Deck, but
Be a good one to ask.
yeah. So what did you pull that was other than the printing plate that was like you're going to retire off of?
I pulled a Connor Bedard base rookie card. I guess they call it a base rookie card, but card number 198, which I mean, I think it's like a $25 card. I might be wrong, but I don't think it's really up there.
18 right now on ComC.
18, okay.
Yeah.
And then an energetic explosions card of Connor Bedard.
Ooh.
Which is probably a $6 card. I don't know. I don't care.
Energetic explosions. Wait, I can tell you.
Oh, okay.
That's an $8 card right now.
I was close. I said 6.
Yeah, you're close. Very close.
I didn't have enough faith. Oh, and then I pulled this card. This one kind of threw me for a loop. I saw this one. It made me a little sad. And I like the design. It's very 70s. The insert is called Soul of the Game. And I got a card of Johnny Gaudreau. And I'm just like, oh.
Oh, that's
yeah.
strange.
Yeah, that's a bit not morose, but just kind of sad,
That's very melancholy.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh, Soul of the Game. Ouch. Like obviously they've been producing these cards for quite some time before his tragic death happened. But I saw this and I was just like, ooh.
Right.
Overall, I like this set. I've said it every year. I was excited about it in 2020. Oh, I actually got another what is this? Zach Benson Metal Universe Rookies. I think this is one of the retro designs. And this one is purple and it's numbered out of 199.
Ah, yes.
Oh, I guess this would be, yeah, the Spectrum FX purple. So, anyway,
Yeah.
the nice thing about the hobby box is that you get a lot of variety in the inserts, because you get 15 different insert cards. So you tend to get a range of things and maybe, some you get doubled up on. But yeah, like I said, normally I'm like, yeah, go all in on the blaster boxes. But seeing as how it's really kind of a negligible difference in the price, I might just go for hobby boxes, at least to get enough cards for the base set and some of the rookies and star short prints. That's another thing I don't like either. Okay, 50 rookie cards, that's fine. You don't have to fill it with 100 rookie cards because you get a lot of seed listers when you get to 100. But in the past, the star short prints, one year they were in all-star uniforms. And I thought, okay, that's cool. Another year they were in their third jerseys or just some different type of jersey. And I said, all right, that's cool. It's the same player, but he's wearing like the throwback jersey or the Winter Classic jersey or whatever. Now this year they're just like, stars. Okay, just star players, right? So they're short printing the stars. So I don't know. I mean, I know not everybody likes the All Star game as much as I do, and like seeing players in All Star uniforms as much as I do. I don't know why I like that so much. I just do, even though I didn't care for the All Star uniforms. I think we were saying how they look like Star Trek uniforms, but like with the big red, or excuse me, was last year the year where they had the blue one, the white one, the yellow one, and they had like the big yellow star in the middle that almost looked like the Star Trek comm badge, but like way bigger.
Yes.
Man, we're hitting all the pop culture references tonight. Yeah, I mean, but still, like seeing the player I wouldn't want to wear that jersey, but seeing that player in that jersey is pretty cool.
What do you think was your favorite insert of any of the ones you pulled? If you had to pick one.
I don't know. I didn't really get like I'm not really fond of any of these really. I mean, I wish I got the retro that looked like the 90s basketball. I mean, I like the floating heads of course cuz I like ridiculousness. But the rest of them just kind of don't really do much for me.
And there's no die cuts in this, or are there?
Yeah, there is. The
There is, right?
the business, those are die cut.
And I think goose eggs are die cut as well.
Goose eggs are die
Okay.
cut. So like the goose eggs and the soul of the game, they almost look the same.
Right.
But the one's all goalies and the other's a mix.
Right.
The business ones are die cut and it's the player superimposed over like a city background. I don't understand the theme of the card. Like a player over top of the city, but it's called the business. I don't really know. And I looked at the backs of some of them to read the little bios. Most of them are stat related, like milestone stats.
All right.
I don't know what that means. If it's called the business, it should have like the player's salary on the back and like what their bonuses are and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't really know the theme. I do like the cards though. I like how they're set up. I think though, like the Z-Force ones, that's too much. It's too much color.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because the Z-Force Rave ones I actually like. And I'm not sure why. They're slightly different. They added something. The Vivacity ones, those are die cut too, by the way. But those look like a lot of other inserts from the past few years, like Platinum or Allure. They look similar to those. Those T-Tari Star cards, they really don't look that different from the Meltdown cards, especially because it's on that chromium, so it's hard to see what's in the background. They're very similar, so it's kind of like there's not a lot to stand out on those. Noise Boys they do every year, and they rarely change the design. It looks almost the same. And Jambalaya, same thing. Very similar. Like it's hard to tell. The Palladium are cool, but nobody ever pulls them. They're very rare. I mean, right now the Bedard's pulling like 400 and some bucks.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I mean, you have a hard time distinguishing from one to the next for some of them. The quick strikes, did you get any of those?
I did not.
Oh, geez. Those hurt my eyes. They look like a player cutout, like laying on top of a bunch of pencils.
So it's just like blinding.
It's too much.
I think those are
it's
meant to
too
be
much.
hockey sticks, but okay.
Probably, but they look like pencils. If I dropped all my pencils on my desk and put a card on top of them.
Acetate cards.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a lot of different printing technology involved with many of these, whether it's the acetate or the higher premium stock or that chromium type print or the, don't call it Dufex because that was copyrighted, but it's basically the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, maybe not everybody enjoys a UFO or a planet or two in their background, Clemente, but some people do like that. And some people enjoy that throwback to the 90s, over the top, in your face, crazy stupidity, because there's that nostalgia to it. But again, I go back to the same thing I think I say on every set we review. There's too many parallels. Just stop it. Stop it already.
And too many inserts that have like 40, 50 cards. Or 30 even, right? Like,
I'll take the 50 different inserts with 50 cards each over the 50 inserts with 50 cards and 7 different versions of each one.
yeah, parallels of inserts, man. That's too much.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost a way to get around printing a lot. It's like, well, instead of printing a lot of the base, like the junk wax era, we're going to make the checklist so expansive, you end up with a lot of cards. And that's the way to get around it, I guess. And there's something for everybody, but I don't know that buying a box of this or many other products is satisfying enough where you open and you're like, oh, okay, and now what? Now what do I do with this?
Well, that's the thing. Even at the $100 price tag, so we've knocked it down $50, right?
Let's say it's $100.
So let's call it $100. You're out there looking for certain things, like you're a certain type of collector and you're looking for certain things. You're not going to get that pulling boxes. You're going to have to go out and buy singles. So for those of us that are team collectors, where we try to polish off, as many of our favorite team from each set every year. Yeah, we had the base cards and maybe 6 or 7 inserts before. A couple memorabilia cards, maybe a couple autos. Now it's infinite. It's basically infinite. You went from having 50 cards that you had to chase in a certain release to having 300, sometimes more, if you count all the different parallels. So it's crazy. So I can't be a completist because it's impossible. I can't even dent some of this stuff because past a certain point, like I said, that Palladium Bedard, it's $400 and some dollars. If I was a Blackhawks collector, I couldn't touch that and expect to try to find all the rest of them.
It's almost as if all these boxes are meant for breakers to pull the 1 or 2 great cards from a case, and the rest is just filler. And it ends up, whatever, in the trash or somewhere else in the secondary market. And it's just meant to fill it. It's like when you watch your favorite TV series and there's like 8 episodes and there's always that one episode that you're like, oh, I see. This is a transition episode. Like nothing is actually happening. They're just going to move the action from episode 5 to 7. And this is the same thing here with a lot of these boxes. It's just filler to get you to buy a box, open it or break it for the breakers or whatever. And this is where the hobby's going. We talk about this every time we review a set. And I think what's happening is, given the price point and given the overall feeling you have after you buy a box, people are just like, I'm not buying a box. I'm just going to spend $110. If you gave me $110, Sal, and you bought a box and you opened your box, and then I had $110 and went on ComC or eBay and tried to spend $110 on the same cards from the same set, but what I wanted, I'd get more stuff than you and better stuff that I wanted.
You'd basically buy all the cards that I got for like $30.
Right, and then some. Right, and I wouldn't even want your cards. I would fish out, like
The ones that, yeah,
Tim said, the ones from the players I like, the ones I want, or just say, you know what, this is a great looking insert. I'll spend $100. I'd rather have one card than all of your cards. And I think as long as that happens, people like us are going to go away from buying boxes. Because the last box I bought was OPC Platinum. I was very disappointed with what I had. And then I bought Series 1 because I buy Series 1 every year because I feel like I have to. And I collect the base set, so I don't care. Like I'm looking to, but a lot of those inserts are like, maybe I'll sell these off. I'll put them on ComC. Someone who actually wants them will get them.
Here, you want me to do a quick thing just to tell you? So you pull this set up on ComC, and I just sort it by the penguins. There's 18 different penguin cards out there. If I took that $110, I could buy 15 out of the 18 cards.
wow,
for $110.
And that's now. If you wait 6 months from now, that's even less.
Yeah.
And a year from now, even less.
Yeah, there'll probably be more cards. So out of the 18 that are on there, the only 3 that I couldn't get would be the Vivacity Crosby, the Business Crosby, and the Tristan Jarry Goose Egg, which I don't know why it's $20. He should be paying me $20.
I'm sure you can give him an offer of $10 and you'll get it. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, but everything else below that, and that includes an out of 25 card, an out of 50, an out of 199, an out of 100 PMG. That's all included in that list for $110.
Yeah, I think people might say, well, this is not the way you hobby. You guys are doing it all wrong.
No, this is exactly how you hobby.
Well, I know, but some people might say, well, look at these guys. They're talking about this like they're overthinking it. But if I wanted to buy a box every time a new product came out, I would end up spending a lot of money with a lot of cards I don't want.
Yeah, you'll go bankrupt and you'll jump out of the hobby because you'll be so over the top frustrated.
Yeah, and really just not happy with what I'm surrounded by. And this is something I've been sort of thinking for the past year and a half. It's like, oh, maybe buying this box is not for me. I'll wait. Even when I've gone to a national or Chicago Sports Spectacular and they have wax on sale and boxes end up like half off, I still don't buy the boxes. So I'm like, I don't even know what's in this box. I know I don't want it. Like, I know I don't want what's inside because I've seen enough people break it on YouTube or wherever. And so it's kind of disappointing because the whole fun of the hobby or big part of the hobby is to rip. And when you take that part of it out, then it's like a strategic strike, like a surgical strike. You go into a store or you go into a show and you're just looking for particular cards. And you're not just looking to rip. I mean, Sal and I spent how many days at the expo? 4 days? I think one night we just, for fun, we did like a pack wars thing. We opened like 3 packs. And then I bought some Tim Hortons cards. And we opened the packs. That was it. I didn't buy wax. I didn't buy anything that I was ripping. And that's a very different way to buy cards or interact with cards than we were as children, teenagers, and even 10 years ago. And so it's very interesting where we're at now. And as long as the breakers are doing it, that's great. But the moment the breaker thing dries up, if it ever dries up, people like us aren't suddenly going to go back into buying wax.
Oh.
It's not with these configurations, with these gigantic checklists, these ginormous possibilities of parallels. Because look, even when you see the mock-ups, you're like, that's a great card, but I'll never pull it. Just like you were talking about the Skybox basketball throwback. Like, that was the one that I liked the most. And then you told me, oh, yeah, but those are impossible to get. It's like, oh, that should be the base set. Then I'd be buying boxes of this stuff. But I guess what we like and what we want is not on the same page as what Upper Deck is producing. And really what the market wants, what the breakers want, what the people want.
Well, this is one of those products that has enough of all of that to kind of satiate most of those people. us, the grumpy old men that complain about everything, and also the people that are going to buy 6 cases of it and rip it all on camera. There's something in here probably for everyone.
I'm actually surprised the price point isn't higher because of Bedard. I guess there's nothing in here that is Bedard related that people want that badly.
Like I said, there's the biggest Bedard in this set right now on ComC is $400, and it's that Palladium one.
Yeah, and I think if people are going to spend that, they might just get a Young Gun instead for
Yeah,
less.
as I said.
Yeah.
Or about the same. Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, how many times do we see it? The insert cards generally don't fare well over time.
Yeah, and think about how Bedard's O-Pee-Chee marquee rookie was $100 card, and how this card, I know it's been out for a little while, but I mean, I want to say it was like a $50 card, his Metal Universe rookie card. So it's funny. It was just like once there's enough Bedard rookie cards out there, the market is saturated. The people who want the Young Gun get the Young Gun. The people who want the O-Pee-Chee one get the O-Pee-Chee one. The people who want the ones with the jersey piece and the autograph, or either or both, will get that, right? So then this is going to get overlooked because market's saturated. It wasn't like a year ago when he hardly had any cards out. So yeah, I think that's probably why the sale price is lagging. If this had come out at the beginning of the 23-24 season and not at the beginning of the 24-25 season, then it'd be a totally different story.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Timing is everything, right?
Absolutely.
Just like location in real estate. It's cliched, but it's cliched for a reason. It's true.
So guys, any last thoughts before we wrap this one up? This has been a good comeback episode after a 3-week break.
I don't really have anything else to say about this set. I mean, now that it's about $100, it's at least affordable somewhat to buy a box and break it open. So if you want something fun, or you could just go pick up a box of 2021 Upper Deck Extended, which are now selling for $14.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So somebody sent me a link earlier today. Said this is still too expensive, right? And I saw it. It was $85. And I saw what it was. It was a retail box, a 24-pack retail box of that. And I'm looking at that going, heck yeah, that's too expensive. $85. Until I read it further, and it was a lot of 6 for $85. So yeah, they're like $14 each. So
wow.
Yeah, it's almost like it's become like a meme. It's kind of just like it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this Metal Universe is in that category.
No.
The extended is in its own class.
Well, in that class specifically, it kind of fizzled out. I mean, there were a couple potentials there with like Kaliev in that group and Logan Stanley and Zub, and that kind of petered out.
Right.
I still need the Bunting and O'Connor, though. Young Guns from that. But anyway, that's besides the point. That's off topic again. What were we talking about? Transformers? I'm sorry.
Transformers, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, Star Wars. It's all
Star Wars, yeah. All right. Well, I guess this is a good stopping point. So, everyone, thank you for listening to the Puck Junk Hockey Podcast. And until next time, collect what you like.